On May 25, 2020, George Floyd died after the knee of a Minneapolis police officer was pressed into his neck for 8 minutes. Although his death was ruled a homicide, the details are still unclear. His murder was captured on video and shared across all social media platforms and caused national outrage. That national outrage led to nationwide protests. A lot of those protests turned into full-scale riots, and in some areas, this led to some stores and businesses being looted. The chaos spread across cities in more than 30 US states, causing our focus to shift from the global pandemic that is COVID-19 to focus on something that has plagued and divided our country for centuries. I'm Tricon, and this is Unpopular Facts. For starters, I'm going to ask that you comment RIP George Floyd in the comment section. Normally we ask that you like and subscribe to the channel, which you can do, but for this topic we felt that was more important. And whether you agree with the riots or the protest or not, I do believe after watching that video, as a decent human being, most of us can conclude that was wrong. Now, for starters, I think this is the perfect time to probably bring up Colin Kaepernick. Remember that guy? The same guy who caused national outrage by kneeling? George Floyd's murder is exactly why he knelt. Now, we'll get on to the riots and the looting and the protests later on, but let's go ahead and establish that fact that this is why he knelt, okay? Now, it's worth noting these egregious killings have happened to white people. They have, but not on the same scale as black people. And don't give me the numbers, okay? I understand you got the numbers where, okay, well, white people get more killed. White people are killed more than black people by police. But see, this is where we have to use our brain and understand statistics here, okay? Per capita is the word you're looking for. Per capita and the word disproportionate. Per capita, white people use drugs more than black people, okay? That's what the numbers say. That's what national censuses say. White people use more drugs than black people, but black people are arrested more. That's where the word disproportionate comes in, okay? We all know about the opioid crisis and what's going on, okay? But like I said, there's not a lot of white arrest. There's not a lot of arrest of white people. Even though we know the opioid crisis exponentially affects whites. Same thing goes for the murders of black people at the hands of police, okay? Really from the murders of police. And it's also worth noting that we're the only country that this kind of happens in. Well, as far as developed nations go, in Europe, I think there's only been like 1 or 2 murders at the hands of police in 10 years or something. It's just something crazy like that. In the US, of course, it's like, you know, almost 1,000 every year. So the way we police is obviously a problem, but the way we police black people is undeniably a problem. And that's why Kaepernick knelt. He didn't kneel as disrespect to the soldiers, even though that's what people try to make it about. He didn't kneel to disrespect the flag of the United States. That's why he knelt. Okay, let's clarify that, okay? Regardless of how you feel about it, that's why he knelt. He didn't kneel to, and let's be honest here. Tim Tebow knelt as well. He knelt for his own reasons. I believe he clarified later on that it was for prayer and reflection, but he nonetheless, he knelt the same way Colin Kaepernick knelt. You see this side-by-side photo here? Okay, this was both of them kneeling during national anthems at separate times. Okay, they both knelt. Okay, you were okay with the reason why Tim Tebow knelt, but you're not okay with the reason why Kaepernick knelt. Let's be honest with ourselves. So yeah, Kaepernick knelt peacefully. There was outrage. All right, now on to the riots, protests. People protest peacefully. There's outrage. Okay, you say, well, protest in a different way. That's what was said when Kaepernick knelt. Go protest differently. Okay, people take to the streets. Well, why do they have to be in the streets? All right, now people riot. Okay, now people are looting. Can we come to the conclusion that a lot of you would have been outraged regardless? I'm going to get on to the looting and riots and stuff like that, okay? Because I have a slightly different take on that. But let's be honest with ourselves here. A lot of you, more, and some people may argue I'm more on the right than the left. I don't take either side, okay? I like to look at things as objectively as possible. But we got to be honest with ourselves here. Take a good look at yourself and say, well, damn, okay, I probably would have been outraged regardless, okay? So a lot of you should come to that conclusion because you were mad when he knelt, Kaepernick. You're mad when people peacefully protest. You're mad when there's looting. You mad when there's rioting. So you'd be outraged regardless. So it's the reason for the protest. It's the reason for the protest. And see, you find out a lot about yourself by deductive reasoning. All right. You take away the peaceful aspect of it. You're still outraged. Okay. You take away the violent aspect of it. You're outraged. So we can draw the conclusion that, hey, look, it's probably the reason why they're protesting then. And let's shift to the bullshit that's all lives matter. A lot of you people say that shit not knowing it was created as a protest to Black Lives Matter. And I'm going to explain Black Lives Matter in context for those that don't know. Okay? Black Lives Matter was made for things like this. For the disproportionate killing of black people by police. And there's videos on YouTube. Go check out the video. All right, where they show a white guy breaking into a car out in broad daylight. Nothing happens. No police are called. People aren't worried or anything. And in the same neighborhood at the same time, a black guy does it wearing the same thing. In 2 minutes, police are there. I mean, there's proof of this. So the idiots that want to deny this, you're part of the problem, and I'm not really I'm not really talking to you here, because you've already formed a bias in your head and you're just stupid. Okay, so I'm not really talking to you here. But like I said, All Lives Matter was made as a protest to Black Lives Matter. When someone says All Lives Matter, I don't listen to them because I know they don't know what the fuck they're saying. Okay, so because it was Black Lives Matter, and then you had opposition groups that said, no, all lives matter. Well, where exactly are you when murders like George Floyd happen? So all lives don't matter. They don't really matter to you. And it's just the fact that someone says Black Lives Matter, that's when you want to try to include everybody in that. Well, of course we know that. We know all lives matter. Okay, well, it should matter. But it's the black ones that are disproportionately threatened, okay, per capita, whatever you want, whatever words you want to use. Now we're going to shift to the rioting and the looting. And we may have all heard this saying before, but rioting, that's the voice of the unheard. The ones that don't have a voice, when they get a chance to have one, they speak loudly. They aren't acceptable while it's wrong to riot and loot. That's the only voice that they have. It's the only chance to speak. Because when they peacefully speak, no one listens. And it's worth noting, Kaepernick kneeled during the Obama administration. I believe it was in 2016. I could be wrong. Okay, but I believe it was 2016 going into 2017 that we were crossing over presidents. And then it was Trump later on that said, get that son of a bitch off the field. So when you don't hear this particular group when they kneel peacefully, you don't hear them when they protest in the streets. Okay, you don't even hear them when they're rioting. You don't hear them when they're looting. What exactly do you expect? Like, people forget, this is how the United States was founded. Okay, I'm a historian. I was once a history major. I'm really obsessed with the past and how events take place and how we get where we are. But you look at American history, this is how this nation was founded. The primary reason for the American Revolution was taxation without representation. There is nobody representing this unheard group, okay? We consistently get bad choices for president. I'm gonna say it. Obama was not the choice that you think you were getting. That most of you that voted for him, that's not what you weren't getting the right thing. Okay, Obama famously said Republicans and Democrats operate within the 40-yard line. So you mean to tell me there's only a 40% difference between these presidents? I don't lean to the left or right. Okay, when I vote, I try to research the candidate as best as I can, and whichever one that I see on there that closely fits what I would like to see changed and what the policies that I like, that's who I vote for. But we've consistently been we have been given bad choices for presidents for more than 30 years. Yes, more than 30 years. And it's just now, in the age of social media, the age of information, now we can see, man, these are bad choices. Okay, now with Obama, it didn't come till afterwards. Man, people realized, man, this guy really didn't do shit. Now, he wasn't horrible. Okay, he wasn't horrible, but he didn't really move the needle of change in any direction. Something he ran on. So the unheard, that goes for white and black, have no representation. I want to shift back to the American Revolution, because what people don't realize, these riots, this looting, this anger, this outrage, social media, the fact that now it can be shared across all platforms and billions can see it right away as it happens. You see, the American Revolution, and really any revolution, all revolutions have three things in common. Okay? Every revolution that's ever existed in the history of the world have three things in common. The masses, the majority of people, are oppressed. That's number one. Okay, but like you talk about, 1% has more than the bottom 75% of people in this country. Okay? All right, and I think there's like 4 or 5 people that have more wealth than the bottom 65%. Or the bottom 60%. So 5 people have more money, have more capital, have more resources than the bottom 60%. You talk about 78% living paycheck to paycheck. Okay, Jeff Bezos is about to be the first trillionaire in the history of the world. So all this shit about, oh, he just worked harder than everybody. At some point, at some dollar amount, we got to establish that hard work shit goes out of the window. Because I know people that work their asses off and still have trouble paying the bills. So number one, the masses are oppressed. Check mark. Okay, in the United States, that's a check mark. Number two, just like in the American Revolution and all other revolutions, people are ready to die about the shit. Okay? The American Revolution, whenever they said, look, no taxation without representation, and King George said, man, fuck you. Pretty much, that's what he said. In aristocratic terms. Pretty much, fuck you. They were ready to die about the shit. Now, you look at those streets, the riots, I think we're about there. Whether you want to check that box or not, I think we may be about there. Okay? So number two, people have decided that they would rather die than continue on to live like this. And number three, mobilization. And you may say we're already kind of there with social media. That definitely accelerates that. But people are already like coming together and realizing, look, we're getting fucked here. And it's crazy because you watch these political debates and you just see how out of touch they are. They don't know what's going on within the masses. They don't know people are dying because they don't have health care. They don't know people can't afford to live anymore. And they're just out of touch. Okay, the booming economy, and yes, the economy is booming under President Trump, but it's not booming for the people, for the masses, okay? The jobs that have been created, they're not high-paying jobs. They're not jobs that pay a livable wage. More people have lost health insurance than ever before. feel like the metrics they're using to determine the success of this nation aren't comparable to the common man. So they say that, oh, look at the economy, look at employment and blah, blah, blah. They don't take into account the value of the jobs that are being created, which matters most to us. They just look at the stock market and the shareholders and oh, if they're doing well, if corporations are doing well, then the country's doing well. We know that's not true. So you can argue all three of those boxes are checked. People are being oppressed. People are ready to die about this. And people are together. They're going to do everything they can to divide us. But but what you see in these protests and people saying, wow, I see what's going on now. People are coming more and more together. Now, I'm not somebody that prays for a revolution. I'm just reporting on it here, on what I see. Now, as for the looting, in 92, I believe it was 92, after the officers got off for the beating of Rodney King. I remember there was a black man. He had his business. They showed a picture of him. It might have been a video or a picture, but they showed this guy and his business burned down, and he was outside of it just in tears, crying, saying, "Look, I'm with you. I didn't do any. I'm with you. Why would you burn down my business?" So I don't understand why people burn what's around them. I understand the anger. I understand, but it makes no sense to burn down your own community. I'm not saying go burn down corporations. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm more in favor of Target being burned down than a mom and pop store. I will tell you that up front. I'm okay with Walmart being burned down than your local grocery store. Now, I'm not saying that go burn down Walmart. I'm saying if that something is to be burned down, I'd rather it be a big corporation or a big store like Walmart who has insurance out the ass. Okay, I prefer it be them. As more facts start to come out about this case, we can't let the media divide us. That includes Fox News, CNN, CBS, MSNBC, all those large corporations that are ran by out-of-touch elitists. Do not allow them to divide us. You saw what you saw, okay? The people are together. That's both white and black. Do not allow them to divide us with that weak-ass propaganda. That does not work anymore. If you made it to the end, do not forget to comment RIP George Floyd. You saw what you saw, whichever side you on the riots or the looting. You saw what you saw. You saw it was wrong. Go ahead and comment RIP George Floyd. Pay your respects. We try not to get too political on this channel, but this is something we had to talk about with it basically dominating headlines, and I just felt the need to say something about it. But it's back to basketball after this, back to sports. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as well as hit the notification bell. Helps out more than you know. Tricon, unpopular facts. Till next time.